Welcome to the Writer's Block. I'm Barry Tramel from the Oklahoman in Oklahoma City. I'm joined by my pal down in Austin at the American-Statesman, Cedric Golden. And Cedric, football season is upon us, but the Dallas Cowboys have problems beyond the field, mostly with contracts. They got three guys that want big contracts. One of them's not in camp, Ezekiel Elliott. One of them is a quarterback named Dak Prescott, who apparently has turned down a $30 million a year offer. Cedric, can this be true? Did Dak Prescott really turn down $30 million?
Man, I thought I was living in Groundhog's Day. I can't believe when I read that Dak Prescott said no to $30 million. He's making $2 million this year. How many of us would love a times 15 on our paychecks, 15 times what we make now? I'll take that all day long and twice on Sunday. Here's the thing, Barry. He ain't worth $30 million a year. He's a good quarterback. They won a couple of division titles under his watch. He's taking his shot. He wants 40. He wants 40 million. And so I think he's trying to level it off and maybe get 35 million. That will put him in that Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees category. But guess what about Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and Drew Brees? Those guys have won Super Bowls. Those guys are stars in this league. So for Dak to ask that was shocking. And for Jerry to talk about severed arms and automobile accidents when asked about the contract dispute is even more disturbing, especially since he just bought a $250 million yacht. So I don't think he's hurting for cash. It's more of a salary cap issue than a cash flow issue.
Well, the thing that strikes me is the quarterback, your team leader, when he takes a mega salary, when he goes for as much as he can get, that really only cripples the cause. That cripples the salary cap room for the general manager. If you pay Dak Prescott $30 million, that's going to crimp the rest of the Cowboys' salaries. You pay him $35 million, and it's even more so. This doesn't strike me as a great leadership move by Dak Prescott.
It doesn't, and one only need to look toward Foxborough, where Tom Brady has taken less money for the last decade plus to keep his team competitive. I'm not asking Dak to just throw it all away, but Dak, if they offer you $20 million, $25 million, you should jump at that. You're a fourth-round pick, and you're not elite. You're 18th in passing efficiency last year. That means that you're not even in the top half of starting quarterbacks in the league in passing efficiency. You're a good leader. You're well respected. I understand the need to maximize your earning potential, but not at the expense of your teammates, especially when you know that your road dog, Ezekiel Elliott, is still out there in Cabo sipping on margaritas and getting fat while everybody else is in the sun in Thousand Oaks. And your number one receiver, Amari Cooper, is underpaid. Not as much as Ezekiel, but also underpaid. So if you want to be the franchise guy, if you want to win in Dallas, take a sensible offer because you haven't won anything yet. If you win a Super Bowl, then you can come back and ask for $35 million. But until then, know your role, get what you can get, but don't cripple the franchise in the process.
Speaking of Big Zeke, do you expect Elliott to continue his holdout into the season, potentially throughout the entire season?
I really don't, Barry. Something tells me he's coming back. And I know Melvin Gordon and the Chargers are millions and millions and millions of dollars apart in their negotiations. But I think that I just think that the Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott could probably find a happy medium that's going to get him in camp here in a week or so, get him ready. A lot of these guys just don't like training camp. I understand that. But I think when you're the most important player on a football team, and I think that is Ezekiel Elliott in this case, I think he needs to get back in camp and get his timing down with Dak and the offensive line. I don't think that they're as far apart as Melvin Gordon is with the Chargers. So it wouldn't surprise me if he signed in a week or so.
Well, Jerry Jones certainly has some work cut out to produce for this 2019 Dallas Cowboys squad. Next up, segment 2, let's talk a little Big 12 football. Season is upon us and lots of optimism as always in Oklahoma, but also with Texas. The Longhorns have themselves a quarterback in Sam Ehlinger. Cedric, who is the premier quarterback in the Big 12? Is it Sam Ehlinger, fresh off that Sugar Bowl victory over Georgia? Or does he have to make way for Oklahoma's newest transfer phenom, Jalen Hurts, via Alabama?
Bear, I always defer to championships, man. Jalen Hurts hasn't played one down of football in the Big 12, but he comes in as the alpha dog in the Big 12. He's won championships, 26-2 at Alabama with a championship, and saved Nick Saban's bacon a year later. I think that he is the number one quarterback. And guess who he's playing for, Barry? The quarterback whisperer, Lincoln Riley. He will be so much better under Lincoln Riley as a passer than he ever was with St. Nick Saban. I think that we all know that he can move around in the pocket and scramble for yards. He might not be as fast as Kyler Murray, but those legs are going to get a lot of first downs for the Sooners this year. Not disrespecting Sam Ehlinger, who had an improvement from freshman to sophomore year. In my eyes, that was akin to what Vince Young did from freshman to sophomore year at Texas. Took a huge step in his progression as the leader of this Texas football team. But when it comes to comparing the two, I think they have great similar skill sets. I give Ehlinger the edge as a passer right now, but Hurts is electric as a runner, and I know he's going to get even better as a passer under Lincoln Riley. So I'm going to give Jalen Hurts the edge on being the best quarterback in the league at this point.
These guys strike me as being, you mentioned it, fairly similar, even the body types. I mean, these guys can bounce off of linebackers, not afraid to duck it and run, and not necessarily look for the boundary or for a slide alley to avoid a defender. How much similarity do you see in these two guys?
I think that Sam is bigger. He's a tank. He's about 232 pounds. That's a big dude. And he's thick in the legs and in the shoulders. Jalen is a little sleeker model than Sam, much more faster, can get to the edge. You know, Sam's probably a 4.7 and Jalen's a 4.5. So if you remember Colin Klein from K-State, I think Sam runs kind of like him, kind of a big dude that's not afraid of contact, very good on the goal line. Whereas I think Jalen is more of an edge guy, can beat a linebacker to the corner. So it's definitely different running styles. Passing wise, Sam's much better on the deep ball than Jalen. Jalen missed a lot of easy throws in his days at Alabama. Something tells me that Lincoln Riley's going to clean that up, and I think he's going to be a much better passer. It's just going to be really good. Hopefully, Barry, and I know we're both a little bit biased, hopefully it would be nice to see them match up 2 times this year, just like Sam did with his good friend Kyler Murray.
Well, Ehlinger certainly has a lot of experience for 2 years, 3 games already against the Sooners. It's going to be a fun rivalry just on the quarterback level. Forget all the auxiliary stuff that always goes on with these ancient rivals. Hey, let's move on to segment 3, and lo and behold, the Oakland Raiders have found some trouble with Antonio Brown. Who saw that coming? Antonio, with frostbitten feet, was slow to report to training camp because he didn't like the helmet that he had. Is there any surprise, Cedric, that this soap opera that seems to follow Antonio Brown has settled into the Oakland Raiders training camp?
You know, I love me some Antonio Brown on Sunday afternoon, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, not so much. I think he's a diva. He's kind of nuts, kind of pouted his way out of Pittsburgh, was mad because they voted Juju Smith-Schuster the team MVP and threw the ball at Big Ben at practice. Those kind of things are the petulant actions of someone who needs to mature. And Antonio Brown's on the other side of 30, Barry. He ain't never changing. He's going to always be like this. I think as far as the Hard Knocks thing is concerned, what great copy for those guys. They're getting the up close and personal look at a spoiled superstar, making times hard for a coach who's trying to turn things around, and couldn't happen to a nicer guy than John Gruden. But to me, I think it's more of a distraction than anything. Antonio Brown's skill set on a football field is basically unrivaled in the league. He's the best football player or best receiver of this generation that we have. And this generation includes Julio Jones and A.J. Green. So and Larry Fitzgerald at the end of his career. So when you say that, it's high praise, but it's all the extracurricular stuff, the external stuff that has the Raider Nation got to be concerned. You spend $30 million to bring this guy in, and he's talking about sitting out if he can't get his helmet from last year. Give me a break. You know what? He said he can't, it limits his visibility. Man, for $30 million, I just check my blind spot twice and keep it moving, Bear.
Do you think the Raiders, in their heart of hearts, regret this acquisition? You think they're glad they have Antonio Brown, or now they're starting to see, hey, maybe the Steelers had the right idea?
No, they're absolutely giddy about having Antonio Brown, because guess what happens, Barry? Once training camp's over, those feet are going to be better. They're going to be playing on Sunday afternoons. They're not going to be running around in 100-degree heat every day, because NFL teams don't practice that hard during the season. This is all about just limiting how much he has to work in that hot sun, because they hate training camp, man. They can't begin to impress upon you how much these guys hate training camp. I've talked to players who have retired, and I go, what are you going to miss? Oh, the camaraderie, this. What are you not going to miss? Training camp. That's always the number one answer. So he's going to be fine. Those blistered feet didn't look good, Barry, at all. But I think that's going to eventually heal. He's going to be great. Derek Carr's a really good quarterback. He's going to get his numbers. And Raider Nation is no stranger to divas on the football field. They've thrived on that anti-hero type mentality many decades under Al Davis. And so this is nothing new. He's just the latest.
I'd be a little worried, though, because Antonio Brown did quit on the Steelers late last year. So, maybe it goes well for the Raiders, but I wouldn't sleep easy if I was John Gruden. Hey, thanks, Cedric. Great stuff. As always, we will come to you next week on the Writer's Block.